Hey Kipsters, tonight's video is graphs versus equations. This is actually one of my favorite parts of algebra, is being able to take an equation or a graph and then turn it into the other. Just to let you know, tomorrow is going to be a little bit different in my classroom. We do have only 30 minutes in my class, but I'm going to give that time to Miss Robinson so that you can finish your science test. So, let's go and get started. Before you have 4 different lines. And so I'm going to teach you how to find slope when you're giving a graph. And if you ask any algebra student or any adult, they remember this one thing, that slope is rise over run, meaning how far does it go up or down versus how does it go across. And the best way to do this is probably just to find 2 points where they meet in the intersection. So I notice that there's a point right here, and I see there's a point right here. From this point, the one that is furthest left to the one that is furthest right, how far does one have to go in order to get to 2? Well, it has to go 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So I'm going to create a fraction basically. And then how many spaces does it have to run? It has to run 1 space. If I simplify this, this is just 4. So the slope of this is equal to 4. On the red line, let's find 2 points that meet on the intersections, and I see one right there, and I see one right there. We're talking about rise over run from the first one to the second one. It rises 1, and it runs 3 times. So 1, and then 1, 2, 3. So we would say that the slope is 1/3. Over here, the green one, I see there's a point right there, and there's a point right there. Alright, rise over run. Well, I'm going to have to rise down. I know that doesn't make sense, but you have to go down 2 spaces, so that's going to be a -2. And I have to run over 1s, which is 1, and that can be simplified just to -2. So the slope is -2. Right here, I see a point, and I see another point right here. I know it has to go down 1, so down 1, and then it has to run over 3 times, 3 times. If you mess up the order, you will not get the right slope. So it's important for you to recognize that. Alright, in front of you have a whole bunch of lines, and I want you to notice where do they cross over the y-intercept. So I want you to imagine the y-axis, which goes up and down. I want you to figure out where those lines cross the y-axis, which is called the y-intercept. So where does the red cross the y-intercept? Well, it crosses it at -2. Where does the blue one cross at? It crosses at 2. Where does the orange one cross at? It crosses at 5. Where does the green one cross at? It goes through the origin, so we'd say it goes through 0. And purple, it crosses at -7. Alright, so some tips for writing an equation when you see a graph is to start with the y-intercept. So you're going to start, where does it cross the y-axis? The second is you're going to ask yourself, is it a positive or negative slope? So positive is like you're climbing a mountain, and negative means you're like going down a mountain. And third, you're going to test the rise over run. How far do you have to go up or down? And then how far do you have to run to another part? So let's give 2 examples. Let's start with the orange one first. My first step was to remember where does it cross the y-axis. So I'm going to start with 3. So I know this is y is equal to, and I know it starts at +3. From there, I can write my x, because I know it's always going to be x. I notice there's a point here, and I notice there's a point here. And I know you have to go down 1, and over 2 in order to get there. So we would have our equation, y is equal to -1/2 x plus 3. I'm now going to do the green graph. I notice it crosses the y-axis at -1, so I'm going to start off with my y-intercept being -1. It looks like it's going down at a rate of 1, 2, 3, negative 3 over 1, which is the same thing as negative 3. So I know this is going to be y is equal to negative 3x minus 1. Let's look at two more examples. I notice that this one crosses the y-axis at positive 2. It rises by 1, and it runs by 3. So this will be y is equal to 1/3 x plus 2. This one crosses the y-axis at negative 4. It looks like it's rising 1, 2, 3 at a rate of 3 over 1. So I would say that the equation is y is equal to 3x minus 4. All right. Here are some examples. There are 6 tonight. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Just remember that TC will always be the best.